everybody, this is Torey Berndt with Alpha Media Topeka. I am behind the scenes planning the Taste of Home Cooking School, and we cannot wait to have everybody out. What I want to do today is show you guys a favorite recipe of mine. I have been making this since I was little, ever since I can remember. This is the first thing I remembered how to bake and the only recipe that I have memorized in my head. So since I've been making it since before I really could walk and talk, I wanted to bring the person who taught me how to make it. And so this is my mother, Stacey.
Hi.
And we are just going to take you through how to make our favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe. Mom?
Well, as Torey said, we've been making this recipe all of her life, almost all of my life. It's a recipe from an aunt of mine, and it's a little bit unusual in that it has oatmeal in the chocolate chip cookie. It does make a large batch. It can make up to 8 dozen, depending on how many giggling young girls are eating cookie dough while they're making it.
I mean, let's be real here. What's the best part, the cookie or the dough?
But it is a great thing. My husband was a football coach, and 8 dozen of these lasted 7 minutes usually with the football team when they would be watching video and celebrating a win. So let's go ahead and get started whipping them up.
So we are just going to go through all the ingredients that you'll need first, and you'll also see the recipe on the screen. And then we'll go through and put them together. So you're going to need 2 kinds of sugars. You're going to need white sugar and brown sugar, and you're going to need 1.5 cups of each. So we'll go ahead and put those in. And you're going to mix the sugars with the shortening. So we like to use butter flavored shortening. We note that it just adds a little more flavor and it's just a little more cozy. Like, you know, a cookie can taste cozy, and we recognize that with the butter flavored shortening. And you're going to need 2 cups of that.
And that's an adaptation that we did because when we first started making these, of course, there wasn't butter flavored shortening.
And normal flavored shortening is
Works
fine
fine
as well. We just prefer the butter flavor. Here you go.
Thank you.
So we like to use a KitchenAid stand-up mixer, but these, if you don't have a KitchenAid stand-up mixer, or you don't have a hand mixer, or you don't have any mixer, you can use a spoon and you can just like work hard at it. But if you do have a hand mixer, you can use that, or if you do have a KitchenAid or some sort of standalone mixer, you can use that as well. So we're just going to get those started, and until they kind of form a creamy texture is when you're going to want to add the next step, which is
our 4 eggs.
So we're going to add the eggs, and sometimes it's easier just to stop and lift it up so that you don't have eggs going all over your countertop.
What Torey didn't mention is that she liked to make these growing up. She never really was fond of cleaning up after she made them.
Well, I mean, I did the work in making the cookies, and everybody got to benefit from eating them, so I felt like it was just a combined effort. It was truly family bonding. When you got to wash the dishes, I felt like I was just wanting you to be a part of it.
How much I appreciated that.
I'm sure you did. So next we're going to add 2 teaspoons of 4 ingredients, and so you need soda, baking soda, just normal baking soda, salt, vanilla, and hot water, and you'll add 2 teaspoons of each of those.
And we have no idea why it's hot water. That's what the recipe said, and we've just always followed that. We are not home ec majors. We like to pretend we are.
So at this point, you're getting a mixture done pretty well, and as with any mixer or using your hand, not your hands, but using spatulas or anything like that, you're going to just have to scrape the bowl occasionally, make sure everything's getting mixed in properly and correctly. And it's looking pretty good. I had too much shortening in, because it's a lot creamier than it normally is. Oh, your turn.
The last, or not one of the last ingredients, but we're going to add 3 cups of flour. This recipe, as I said earlier, also has oatmeal. So we've got 3 cups of flour and 4 cups of oatmeal. So it does make a large amount. Remember the big old green Tupperware bowls? I know your mom had one, my mom had one. Mine I got when I got married was yellow. Still same thing. That's what I always used to make the cookies in. And then it's also perfect for putting the baked cookies in and throwing them in the freezer. Not that they ever lasted long.
So we're gonna go ahead and add the flour first, and since there is a large quantity of flour, when you add it, you just want to add it a little bit at a time. As you all know, when you add flour to a standalone mixer, it goes everywhere. So if you just kind of add it gradually, it works best. Ooh, and that is what I meant by that. So it's not cooking cookies if you don't make a mess, right? You can finish it.
Oh my.
We're gonna see if she has better luck adding the rest of the flour.
This is exactly what used to happen at home.
But this time I'm using the wash rag. I'm not making you do it.
It's only because we're on TV. It is easier in your home, of course, to do this. But you can add the rest of the flour. And then we'll just start out very, very slow.
Slower speed than what I decided.
I will say another thing, on my KitchenAid at home, I have a little guard that fits on top, and it does make things like that a little bit easier. We call it the Torey guard.
So as you can tell, our batter's getting a lot thicker, but as the flour mixes in, you can increase your speed, and it makes it just a really nice consistency to add the oatmeal to. So the oatmeal you can usually add with the mixer going. You can stop the mixer to add it. You can just add it gradually, and it just makes a nice dough. Gosh, I do it every time.
A lot of people think that these are actually oatmeal raisin when they first look at them because they're not used to oatmeal being in a chocolate chip cookie.
But it truly makes the difference. I prefer chocolate chip cookies with oatmeal in them just because it's been what I've been used to my whole life. You want?
Yeah.
Okay.
This recipe is also a great, if you want to make a cookie pizza to decorate, or just a large, like the birthday cakes people are doing, only they're cookies. We've used it for that before.
Mm-hmm. The dough freezes exceptionally well.
Yes.
So we won't be making all the cookies here today. We'll just pop the dough in the freezer, and I have a Halloween party coming up. So I'm going to use them for Halloween party. You know, it's an easy thing to do. Just to freeze them. You can freeze the dough balls and just pop them on a cookie sheet when you just want 5 or 6 at a time. So it lasts long and it freezes really well, and it doesn't take up too much room in your freezer.
Last thing we're going to add are the chocolate chips. Now, this is where Torey and I differ. The recipe says chocolate chips, doesn't differentiate. I'm a firm believer the only type of chocolate chip is milk chocolate. That's what I prefer.
And that's just wrong. I mean, it is not right. So I'm a big believer in semi-sweet chocolate chips. It's definitely the better option. And I stand firm in the opinion that the original recipe says semi-sweet chocolate chips, but she would disagree. So today we decided to compromise, and we decided to do 1/2 cup of each, or 1 cup of each.
1 cup of each.
So we're gonna have milk chocolate chips and semi-sweet chocolate chips in the recipe, but when you make it at home, you can just use semi-sweet.
Or milk chocolate.
We got some one sticking.
They don't want to join their friends. And of course it's the milk chocolate at the bottom, so I want all of them in there.
Maybe I did that on purpose.
This is where a KitchenAid is absolutely wonderful to have, because in the years that I made these for Phil's football team, I had just a hand mixer, and by this step, you're mixing just by hand.
If you have a hand mixer and you're getting to this step, the beaters are getting stuck in the batter. And so if you do have a stand mixer, it's so wonderful, and it just makes it so much easier. You do have to go a few times. You have to kind of scrape it off from the sides, put it back in, make sure those chocolate chips are getting mixed thoroughly throughout the dough, because who wants a cookie without a chocolate chip in it?
That would be sad.
So it's looking pretty good. We'll do one more mix. Make sure it is the best possible product we can offer.
Both of my kids were in 4-H and took cooking as projects, and they did a lot of cooking. I believe this recipe worked as drop cookies for both kids, and I believe they both received purples at the county fair. So
if there's any 4-Hers watching, this is a great recipe, and you can definitely make it your own, see what kinds of chocolate chips you like in it. This is also, just growing up, the biggest thing I remember about this recipe is it was just the most popular. So when I was in elementary school, this was the cookie that they wanted me to bring to school for my birthday. And then when I was in middle school, this was the cookie that I had to bring to sporting events. And when I was in high school, this is the cookie I had to bring to Friday night parties. And so it was just the most requested cookie. And one of my best friends from high school, he basically tells me, every time we see each other for the holidays, I feel like I need cookies from you, and it's just part of our friendship. So it truly can become part of your life in ways you didn't expect it.
And that is right. Way back 1,000 years ago when I went to college, I was in collegiate 4-H, and I made these for collegiate 4-H, and it was requested for every meeting. It sometimes is bad because it hooks you into something, actually.
But that goes back to where it can be easy to freeze. So if you have a monthly commitment, you can make you can make a full batter and then freeze it from month to month, and you only need to get it out when you need 20 or 30 cookies.
Now we're going to put them on our cookie sheet, and you bake these at a 350-degree oven for 8 to 10 minutes, depending on your oven. We like them just a little bit undercooked because we like them soft. Other people want to go a little bit longer. They like a crispy cookie. Again, it's totally up to you. The things that we use that we love are these cookie scoops, and you can have a small cookie scoop or a large one. Now, obviously with the large one, you're not going to get as many cookies for the recipe. I always used the smaller one because I was usually feeding football boys, and they usually grabbed a handful of cookies, so it was better if they grabbed a handful of small ones.
These are really great tools, and they're super easy to get the cookies onto the cookie sheet. You can definitely use a spoon, or you can use another way of getting them on there, but you can purchase these pretty much anywhere. Any kitchen supply store, any just grocery store, a lot of times will have them as well, so they're definitely worth the investment. And if you spend a little more, it usually lasts a little longer. So they're pretty easy to use. We've got our dough here, and you're just going to scoop it into it, and you can heap it a little bit if you want a little bigger cookie, but usually we just try to get a scoop, and then it's really easy. So you're just going to go like that, and with this you're going to do that through the whole cookie sheet. Sorry, Mom.
Whoops. With this recipe, you don't need to flatten out or use a glass or anything to make them. They will automatically spread out a little bit, but they're a very nice cookie. In using the cookie scoop like this, they get a very uniform roundness, which for your 4-H kids, that's an awesome thing because your judge likes to look at uniformity.
And it's a good recipe when you are sitting at the state fair or the county fair, and your judge decides that the only thing wrong with the cookie is that each cookie didn't have the same number of chocolate chips.
Right.
So if you want to get really technical, you can make the dough without the chocolate chips and then add the chocolate chips to the scoops, but honestly, this is the best way. So you can definitely see how many cookies this dough makes. We have a dozen on this cookie sheet right now, and then we've still got pretty much the entire bowl of dough left. So it does make a lot, but like we've said multiple times, it freezes so well. Here we go. Enter. Okay.
And now we wait.
This is the hardest part, really.
This would be a great time to clean up your kitchen. Hint, hint.
I guess I better get started on that. All right, so it's been about 11 and a half-ish minutes, which can happen varying on your oven. My oven takes about 9 to 11. Her oven takes 7 to 8. Just depends. So you're going to just 108 till they're like so. And I like to take them out till they're like just before done because they do bake a little after they're out of the oven.
Right. Plus, like we said, we like them soft versus the crunchy cookie. So
we probably should have got this out.
Yep.
This is why Dave can edit.
I think this one works.
It'll work.
Usually we use wax paper, but you just take them off the pan, the cookie sheet, and let them cool for a while. This is where I found they would always disappear when my back was turned.
This is the best time to eat a cookie. Like, truly. If I wasn't in front of a camera, she'd just be, you know, scraping it onto my hand. And then you got to do the hot potato dance, but that's why you just eat it right away. So if you are a fan of fresh out of the oven cookies, this is the best cookie ever.
And you just let them cool for a little bit. Then you can put them on your serving dish, your serving platter. Like I said, I use a lot of Tupperware Rubbermaid. There's a cookie disappearing already.
See, it just disappears. That's what they do.
Now I have to fill that hole.
So naturally, since this is the way it goes, we started with a dozen. We're already down to 11. Multiply that by 8. Take out the dough that I eat. We don't always end up with 8 dozen, but we end up with a lot. It's a great recipe to have for anything you have going on. If you want to take it into work, if you want to have it at your house, if you're feeling down after a rough day, just mix them up. Or better yet, that's when you just grab a dough ball out of the freezer, skip the oven process. Football games, everything. This cookie works for all of it.
So there you go. There's our chocolate chip cookie recipe as made by our family for many years.
Thanks.